Excuse me. Hey there, everybody. I am super excited because today we are talking all about website images. You probably know that having beautiful images for your site is really important. It can really make or break the visual impact of your website. But a lot of people, especially solopreneurs, especially small business owners, you don't have all of the beautiful photos, right? I mean, maybe you did a photo shoot once, like several years ago, but maybe you don't think those are the greatest pictures to share, or you just need additional images to kind of fill in your website and make it look really beautiful and on brand for you, right? So I'm going to go over where to find great images, a few tips on how to take your own, which you absolutely can do, and just how to actually utilize those on your site, and then some little tips and tricks on how to kind of compress your files, make sure they are going to be great for page loading speeds, make sure your site can load really quickly, make sure you're getting the right images that are, have the actual copyrighted license to use, and all of that. So before I start on kind of where to find images, I'm going to talk about quickly taking your own images, because yes, you absolutely can take your own. Of course, if you have the ability to hire a photographer, a brand photographer, or someone that really knows what they're doing with an amazing camera and with a design eye, that's obviously great. If you can afford that, if that's in your budget at this point, if you have the time to do that, wonderful. There's amazing photographers out there, and I highly suggest that. However, I also don't want you to delay yourself or to just stop your forward moving momentum on getting your site up and launched just because you don't have those photos just yet. We're all about taking imperfect action here with Shine Pages. So I want to encourage you to do that too, just to take that imperfect action, use images you already have, or take new images. Because again, as long as you can take, if you have a cell phone, some sort of modern smartphone device, they all really have amazing cameras these days. And again, you can do this, again, taking that imperfect action, take your own pictures. So a few tips for doing that. One, if you can try to dress in and or accessorize your area or your backdrop with some of the brand colors that you're going to be using. So whether that is, a vase in the corner of your shot, or the clothes you're wearing, or accessories that you're wearing, jewelry or headbands or anything like that, try to pick up a few of those brand colors so that it does match your overall aesthetic. When you take your photos, ideally, you're going to have some natural light. So you want to be able to face the light. I'm going to show you a difference here. You can see the background of my place now. But this way, you're going to have more light coming in at your face versus if you have the light in the back. That's not going to be a great shot. You want to be able to have the light coming towards your face. And then you also can be in a covered area. So, if there's a patio outside or something that has a little bit of a cover, so it's not direct sunlight straight into your eyes, but having that kind of filtered sun, but still facing it, that's ideal. You want to be able to use your phone. You can have a friend take these for you, somebody in your house, a kid even, and just go with it, set aside some time, make sure your hair looks nice, your clothes are on point, and then just kind of have a little fun with it and see what happens. See what results you get out of your phone's images. Make sure that you take both a mixture of horizontal photos as well as vertical. And one little tip is to make sure that you get at least a couple shots where you are only in 1/3 of the photo and the rest of the space is left blank, because those are really great to have as hero images above the fold of your website. So again, you're going to want to have yourself be over in one section of the photo, and then over here would be a great place for text or copy on your site. So just kind of keep that white space or that blank space in mind as you take those photos. Again, your phone is a perfectly reasonable way to take those pictures. Again, there's really great quality these days with these camera phones. And again, might not be the most perfect thing in the world, but it's probably better than things you already have. So again, just keep that forward momentum rolling and take your own. Now, in terms of using stock photography, now this is a great way to, if you don't have any photos of your own at all, at least take a few of you for your about page at a minimum, but then you can fill in with other stock photos. So I'm going to show you some of the different stock photos sites that, that we like to use here. You can also make sure that when you are searching for photos, just make sure that you are going to these sites where they have these photos that are royalty free, that you have the license to be able to use them. You do not want to use any old photo that you've Google searched and found and grabbed off the internet randomly, because you might not have the license or the rights to actually use that photograph. And so you could get in trouble for doing that. So definitely recommend not doing that, but instead using some of these sites that are really great for stock imagery that you can use throughout your site as a main photo source, again, for now, until you can replace them, or as backgrounds or fillers, other things where you might have text laying on top of that photo. So it's nice to have a variety and a mix of different photos on your site so that you can just kind of fill it in and make it visually interesting. I'm going to show my screen here. Let's see. It's going to look crazy for just a second, but this is one of the stock photo sites that we really love. It's called Pexels. As you will see, this has a lot of great imagery that you can use. You can also search and sort for different images. Let's say we have like food, or maybe you're a nutritionist and you want to have pictures of beautiful food. So there's a lot of different options for you here. As you take a look at each of these photos, you can take a look and just see it larger. And then there's a free download button here. You can choose what size you want to download your image in. I typically recommend you don't need to go super huge. A medium is probably sufficient for most of your uses. In fact, a small might work for some. But if you do want to have it as that hero image or large image that spans across your website, go ahead and choose a medium, maybe a large, but you don't need to ever go to the original size. That's always going to be overkill, probably more than you need. So you're going to choose that. You're going to just download your image and you're good to go. Now you can upload it into Shine Pages and then utilize it on your site. And I'll show you how to do that in a minute. I really like Pexels because of a few reasons. One is that it has a ton of great images that you can use. I also really like how you can sort. You can sort by orientation. You can sort by size. You can sort by color. And then it also has a lot of great features where you can say, okay, I really like this one. I want to put it into a collection. You can, heart it or like it. You can also see what other photographs this particular artist, this particular photographer has done. So it's a nice way to sort and organize images. You can add it to different collections. You can start your own collection. So it's a nice way, again, to save different images that you know you're going to want to use, save them into collections. And again, these photos here, you have the rights to be able to use publicly on your site. Read each specific photo. Of course, if there's any disclaimers, they will have those on the site, but this is a really nice one to use. Other free stock photo sites that you can use. So that one was Pexels, P-E-X-E-L-S, Pexels.com. I also really like Pixabay, woman smiling office. Let's just see what comes up. You can just do a sort and search. Here we go. So these are some images that you can find. Some of them also have videos that you can use, video snippets on your site. Some of them have kind of more graphic elements instead of actual photos, something like this. So there's just a lot of different options to choose from. And then same thing with Unsplash. Unsplash is another source for, for different royalty-free stock images. So again, great source for all of these. You can probably even search by color, pink aesthetic. So again, you can sort by color, you can sort by your industry, you can sort by just any keywords, and you should be able to find different things. So things like this, where it's kind of a wash of color or just these clouds, again, these are great background images that you can use with text overlaid on top. So again, you don't always have to think of very specific images that work exactly for what you're needing. Maybe it's just a feel, maybe it's a color, things like that. So just think of those type of things for the different images you might need for your site. And again, I'll show you where to go to add those to your site in just a second. Now, those are all free, the Unsplash, the Pexels, the Pixabay. There are a lot of others as well. Those are just some favorites. There's also some sites where you can have a paid library of images. This is one of them, Styled Stock Society. It's specifically made for women, really women entrepreneurs. It is a monthly membership, but they have beautiful images. And one thing that differentiates them is that a lot of their images are of females, of women entrepreneurs, or women working out, or women designing homes, or things like that. So these might represent your clients, and those might be something that you'd like to add to your site, because you want to be able to have your visitor be able to see him or herself in the images that you put on your site. So these images here, you're able to sort and say, I want people, no people, I want hands, I want people of color, I want, different things, horizontal, flowers, all of these things. I do want people, so let's just say that. So you can see that there's just a number of different images, kind of moms and kids. There's 25 different pages of images here. So we've got lots of different options. Again, this is a paid membership. I find that this is a great one, but there are others out there as well. You might want to look into those. Now, with all of these, regardless of where you get it from, with Pexels or Pixabay, Unsplash, one of the paid styled stock society sites or others, a lot of times when the image comes across, it is going to be a large file-sized image. With Shine Pages, your images are automatically going to be compressed somewhat to improve your page loading speeds. However, it is always a good idea to use just the size you need and not go too crazy with a really large file size, because no matter how much the site itself will try to compress those images for you, if you're starting with a smaller file size, it's just going to be better and faster no matter what. So it's always good to use a smaller sized image than a large one if you can get away with it for what your needs are for the space on your site. Now, in order to make an image size smaller, there's a couple different ways to do that. One of them is to actually reduce the physical dimensions, or the length and the width of your photo itself. And then the other is to compress the file size, which doesn't change the dimensions. It just changes the overall image quality, but it's not a visual change. You actually can, it looks beautiful, it looks very similar, but the overall size of the file is reduced, making it a better choice for faster page loading times. So one way to reduce the overall size of your image is with a free site, something like a PicMonkey, or maybe Canva you can do this in as well. I like to use PicMonkey for this, but you can always just reduce your file size like this. So I go to picmonkey.com. I will say create new. I'll grab an image from my computer. I have just a whole bunch of stock images saved here. Okay, so let's just choose one, something like this. Okay, so I can tell that this one is going to be a large sized image. The dimensions, 3300 by 2200, and it's a 3.5 megabyte file. So it's a pretty big file, and I would want to reduce this one before I would upload it to my site, again, just to maybe enhance the overall speed of my site. So if I open this here within this PicMonkey platform, I will be able to resize it, and that will change the overall dimension. So there's a lot of different things you can do here. You can crop it, change the exposure, add all these different effects, all of this stuff. I'm not going to use any of that right now. All I want to do is simply resize this image. I'm going to go right here to resize. And instead of a width of 3,300, if I want to use this as my main image, I probably don't need it any larger than maybe 1,200. Okay, so I'm going to hit apply. And now when I save this image, I'm going to say 1,200 by 800. I think that's what it was. And I'm going to save this image. Download it. And again, if you can download things with a JPEG versus a PNG image, PNG images are perfect for if you need a transparent background. However, if you don't need a transparent background, a JPEG, if it's large enough and the quality is good enough, it's a clear photo, you can use just a simple JPEG. That's going to reduce the overall file size as well. So I'm going to choose JPEG for this one. This reduced it way down from 3.5 megabytes to just 255 kilobytes. So I'm going to say download. And then if I wanted to reduce it further, as you can see, this one just changed here. I'll take you over to another little tip. I like to go to this free site called compressor.io, compressor.io. There's a number of other sites out there. They will compress your image file size. And this is where you'd go to do that. So you just simply select any files on your computer. This is my downloads. Let's just see what I got here. Okay, this was my image. If I upload this here, okay, it saved 79%. So now if I download this here, now it went down to just 52, which is great. Again, does it look any different? No, it looks still like a beautiful image. It doesn't change the overall quality of the visuals of this image. It just greatly reduced the file size. I already reduced the dimensions. And so now let's try adding this photo to a website template, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so the next thing, hopefully you were able to see that and it didn't just go off of my screen, but if you didn't, I am going to show you where that came in now. So hopefully you're able to see that. If not, I apologize. I'm going to come in here. That definitely reduced the overall image size. We reduced the dimensions, and now I'm going to add this to a site. So within the Shine Pages platform, you can add images as a widget onto your site, and those would be a widget that would be added in to your block. Maybe it's in one of the columns. Maybe it's in the column that spans the entire width of the site. There's a number of different ways you can do it. But if you're in a template like this and you'd like to change out one of the images that are already there, it might be that it's the background of a block. If it is spanning the entire width, that means that is an image in the background of a block. So if I click on the word block, I'm going to be taken to the block's settings. And right here is where I would go and change the image. So delete this one out, and I'm going to bring my new one in here. I'm going to upload a file, go straight here to my image that I have resized, that I have compressed, and now I'm going to upload this image. So it's a small size image, super easy, super fast for page loading. I'm going to select it here. And as you can see, now this image is right here on the page. So it's a really easy way to just make sure that your site is going to load super fast, is going to look beautiful, and have that big visual impact that you'd like. I can even just take the words over. Let's scooch them over here so we can really see the one that was in focus. You can change the image size on your page by simply dragging the space that it's in, right? So this one, we can just take up less space. This will reduce it overall. You can also add an image to, I'm going to add a new block down here. I'm going to just add an empty block so I can show you. And then in this block, everything on the Shine Pages site is made up of blocks stacked on top of one another. And within each block, there are rows. And within each row, there are columns, and you can decide how many rows and how many columns are within a block. And you also get the ability to very flexibly change your sizing on those columns and rows by adjusting them horizontally and vertically. So right now I just added an empty block, a blank block here. I have one row with one column. However, if I wanted to change this, I could easily move this to, say, 3 columns. Now I have 1, 2, 3. And within each of these 3 columns, I could either have the block have the entire background in the background of the block, or I can add an image as the background to a column. So if I have columns on this page, I have 3 columns here. Let's say I add that image as the background to a column. So I can say column settings, just like I clicked on block, I can click on column. I'm going to go here. I'm going to add this image right in as the background of a column. Now this is the background. If I wanted to change the size of this, I can just adjust my column's size. This way, I can also add in a spacer or headings or buttons or anything like that. That's going to allow me to adjust my vertical size of this column, just like that. And I can also, again, move it out like this. I can also adjust my column up and down a little bit by using the top column margin. That's going to shove this image up or down, can overlap it over the image on top. So it just gives you a little bit more design playroom right here. Okay, so up and down like that. Now this image is set as the background image of this column. However, you can also add your image into a column, not as the background of it, but instead kind of putting it into the container of a column. And that would be adding a widget of an image. So if I go here, I add an image widget into the column right next door. I'm going to add that same photo, and I'll just show you what the difference is. The difference between having an image as the column background versus having the image as a widget inside of a column. Okay, so this looks a little different, as you can tell. I now have the ability to stretch just this image. Let's see here, if I move my column out, it will move with my column. However, I can also move just the photo within the column's space as well. If I went here and said edit image and said stretch it, now it is going to stretch to the outer limits of my column. So it kind of looks and acts very similar to the background image here. It's a little bit similar. However, it has slightly different properties. For example, if I have this column and I wanted to have this column have a border, for example. Let's go change this here. I'm going to change the border. Maybe I'll make it this color, and the size will be about this large. Okay, great. Now let's say I want to make the radius of this border rounded on the edges. So if I do that, you can see that this will round out the image edges as well. As you can see, the image background has the sides rounded and the corners rounded as well. If I did the same thing with this column here, where the image is just inside of the column, it's not the column's background. If I do the same thing, add a border, different color, we'll change that, and then we'll change the border radius. As you can see, this image did not change. There's still a white space around the image. I can, pull it out and make it look like it's more to the edges. However, the image itself still will have those pointy corners, right? Because the column is rounded, the image is not. Here, because the image was the background of the column, it is taking on the properties of the column, so it's rounding the corners, whereas this one is an image inside of the column and it is not rounding the corners. So that's just a little bit of the difference when you are using the images on the site. If you want to use them as an image widget, or as the background of a block or a column. Okay, one other little quick tip I wanted to share, again, with using images on your site. If you have a beautiful image that you'd like to use, say this image here, this is where you want to really get all of your colors from. You like how this looks and you want everything to match really well to this image. You can actually go ahead and use this little tool I like to use called Colorzilla. Now it's a tiny little Chrome extension. You can get it, I think you can use it on other devices as well, but go look up Google Colorzilla Chrome extension and add it to your site. If you do that and you click the little dropper button, it will allow you to pick the color from the page. So it gives you this a little dropper, and as you move over different things, as you can see, there's this black bar up top here. As I am scrolling over various areas of the site, it is telling me the color or the hex code for that color. I'm over here, I'm on this kind of mauve purple glass over here. It's giving me some of these purple shades as I move around. I can go over here to the green leaf. It's giving me green in this black bar here at the top, this blush and pale pink. So this is how you would grab your hex codes or your colors from a photograph. And then when you're ready, you can actually go ahead into your global styling, sorry, right here, change your color palette and just use all those colors that you grabbed from your image as your color theme or your color palette for your website. And then everything else, you can make your buttons match, any background colors match, all of that. So that's just kind of a fun little tip to be able to grab some colors from an image. Just use Colorzilla Chrome extension and grab those colors off of a page. So I hope that some of these little tips help. Again, we talked about, if you can, take your own pictures. Don't be scared. Take that imperfect action. Your phone totally works. Wear some brand colors. Face the light. Put yourself in 1/3 of the image for some of your shots and just go for it. And then in terms of grabbing stock photography, look at sites like Pexels, like Pixabay, like Unsplash, or maybe a paid photo website, something like Styled Stock Society. Those are great for grabbing images. And then in terms of sizing your images, you want to either choose a site like maybe PicMonkey or something else to reduce the overall dimensions of your site, and then a compressor.io to change your file size. Make sure you have really light, fast-loading images. And then finally, we went into actually uploading them to your Shine Pages site, manipulating your images by stretching and dragging your columns or your rows. And then last but not least, the Colorzilla photo dropper tool or eyedropper tool. So again, I hope this helps. I hope you have some beautiful images on your site. I hope you're inspired to take that action to do so. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. We are here for you. And if you haven't already yet, please sign up for your free trial of Shine Pages and give all of this a try. Make some beautiful images appear on your site. So again, thanks so much. And we can't wait to see you shine online. Thank you. Bye-bye.